Hello and welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Todd Anderson.
I'm Emma Handy.
Got Robbo over in the booth taking all your questions, comments, concerns, and burns. Say hi, Rob.
What's up?
No, that's where you say hi, Rob. We go over this
hi,
like
Rob.
every week. I say hi, Rob.
What's I say? I don't know.
I say hi, Rob, and then you say hi, Rob. That's the joke. That's like the old radio bit. Come on.
We all scream for ice cream.
I didn't listen to the radio, Todd. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's one of those old people contraptions.
All right. I turned 33 in about 2 weeks, and I am not looking forward to it. I'll tell you that much.
I don't know about you, but my age starts with 2.
All right, so today we are continuing our quest into Modern as we test out War of the Spark as well as the London Mulligan. Kind of a 2-for-1 punch on today's Versus Live. First match, we had a Jund Turbo Shadow deck where I utilized Dreadhorde Arcanist to do some really powerful things. We talked a bit about Dreadhorde Arcanist. You piloted Tron with the new Karn Great Creator. Didn't really come together, but...
You won one more game than me. It was 3-2.
But I'm saying Karn, the Great Creator, didn't really come together.
Sure.
Tron did Tron things. And with the London Mulligan, you didn't get to see this, but off camera, Emma beat me on a Molded 3 once, which I think is going to be very common in the new era of the London Mulligan, which is terrifying. But that's behind us. What we got for you now, Emma, tell us about the deck.
So I'm playing Dimir Mill.
Why? 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 Did you just dab on a fool?
Had to do it. I'm over here memeing. You're living in the year 2019. I'm in the year 3000. Had to do it to him.
I just want to point out I am wearing cargo shorts and the loafers like had to do it to him. Anyway, so this Dimir Mill deck. Why do you think that this deck is good in Modern, and would you actually bring it to a tournament?
So this is a deck that I believe it was originally Jason Chung that kind of popularized it in having a surprisingly high win rate in Modern. You main deck a bunch of things like surgical extractions with your mill cards, which punishes hyper redundant decks by just cutting their threats out before they ever get to play them.
Look, it starts to function a lot like a prison deck where you actually just take away all the pieces to their strategy.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I saw an article by Pascal Maynard kind of talking about Ashiok in the new Jund deck, or Jund deck, Mill deck.
Basically Jund.
It's just Library Jund. We're going to call it Library Jund.
Okay.
But the new Ashiok is just a 3-mana planeswalker. Comes in with 5 loyalty, -1, target player mills 4, and then you exile their graveyard, all of your opponent's graveyards.
Yeah.
And that is pretty powerful if it just sits in play for a couple of turns.
Yeah, I mean, not only does it completely just shut down most graveyard strategies by basically forcing them to have all of their graveyard things all in one fell swoop on their own turn, but it also just continually pressures their deck. And as a deck with a bunch of things like, I'm assuming you have like Hedron Crabs and Archive Trap, or all the hits that we've come to know and love out of the Mill deck when we play against 1 out of every 40 matches on Magic Online.
Yeah. It's a little awkward because I think Ashiok is a non-bow with a few cards in the deck. It's not very good with Surgical. It's not very good with Visions of Beyond. And honestly, it can be pretty rough with Archive Trap, too, since it doesn't let your opponent search their library. But on the other side of things, if Ashiok actually just sits in play for several turns, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah, because if it's sitting on the battlefield, like, you're like shutting down Fetchlands potentially, shut down Scapeshift, shut down Primeval Titan, all these cards that are really powerful, that see a lot of play in Modern. And the fact that it just over time just eventually mills 20 cards, it's not so bad either.
Yeah, that's like a third of their life total. Think of it as a burn spell that eventually deals 8.
Yeah,
for 3 mana.
It's basically Grim Lavamancer.
Yes, it is. I'm just gonna bask in your correctness for a moment. Can y'all feel that? I can feel it. It's What are you playing?
Okay. I'm going to be playing a real deck. Just kidding.
No, you're
I'm
not.
I'm not. I'm going to be playing an Izzet Phoenix deck, and I'm trying.
It's a real deck.
Yeah, I'm cutting some of the cards that I think are the weaker parts of the deck in favor of a new card that I think might be particularly powerful in the archetype and could actually spawn variations on said archetype. So I'm playing 3 copies of Finale of Promise. Finale of Promise, this red X spell that lets you play up to 2 instant/sorcery cards from your graveyard.
It has to be an instant.
It has to be
and a
one of
sorcery.
each. Yes.
Right.
So we need to diversify a little bit on which instance, which sorcerers we play. For example, you might sometimes want to lead towards opt or sleight of hand based on trying to get the numbers right, for example.
Sure.
And I'm not really sure what the numbers are yet, but I've added a little more sorcery speed removal and a second flame slash. And then we have like the normal cantrip effects like Thought Scour, Serum Visions, and things like that. But the really cool thing about Finale Promise is that you are actually casting the cards. So with Thing in the Ice, Finale Promise for X equals 1 cast 3 cards. So as long as you have 1 free spell somewhere in there, or if maybe it's like turn 4 or something, you just immediately transform Thing in the Ice. Sometimes you get to target both Thought Scour and Faithful Saluting on the same Finale Promise, which lets you dig significantly deeper for more copies of Arclight Phoenix. And then when you start doing stuff like that, you actually don't need to have a higher threat density other than Thing in the Ice and Arclight Phoenix. And I don't even want to get started, but I just want to say this. If I ever copy a Finale of Promise off of Pyromancer Ascension, I'm doing a lap around the room. I'm just doing a lap. And you can't stop me.
No,
because we get to cast
that's
4
true.
cards out of the graveyard twice each. That's 8 spells.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So the things that I want to try out with Finale Promise in the future, though, I think it could be really good in Mono Red Phoenix as like a big burst of extra spells for all your prowess creatures, which I like. But also, I think it might be good in a deck that plays Young Pyromancer and Saheeli Sublime Artificer. And I think that some amalgamation of all of these cards together could be quite strong.
Sure. Yeah, it's hard to say. One of the great things about War of the Spark, and we touched on this last week, is there are so many powerful cards that play similar but slightly different roles that there's going to be a sort of adjustment period of just figuring out which of the cards are the best ones, because there are so many good ones.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the match. And I won last match, so you get to be on the play this one.
All right.
And we're doing the London Mulligan as well as playing with these new cards.
I think I'm supposed to keep this. I have lands and spells I can cast. I don't know, maybe I'll get punished, but I think the biggest way that I end up losing this game is to Thing in the Ice, since I have so many surgical effects and Ashioks and the like to deal with Phoenixes, and I have Thing in the Ice checked, so I'm going to keep.
All right, on my side, our hand is a little weak, but with 2 cantrips, being on the draw, if I can find a Faithful Saluting, this hand becomes monstrous. So I'm going to just hope for it.
All right. 18. Go.
Yikes. All right. So I'm just going to play this tap and say go. And I'll explain in a minute, but...
All right. So we want to go on and use these while we have the crab in play. So we are going to go ahead
SpongeBob
and
attacking Krabby Patties.
Trigger, target you.
Yeah, getting a basic.
Yep. I'm going to get
so
a swamp.
19 and I mill 6.
I'm at 17. I shocked on turn 1.
From the fetch. Okay. So top 3, Flame Slash, Pyromancer, Tarn, and then 2 Serums and Islands.
Okay. And Mesmeric Orb. Go.
All right, so I'll mill 1 from the orb.
Yep.
All right, draw for turn.
So the thing is that mill's really scary against you.
All right, I'm going to play Manamorphose, make blue-red.
Yep.
I'm going to cast Faithful Saluting. And discard 2 Arclight Phoenixes. And then I'm going to Thought Scour, targeting you.
All right.
Just because I'm a coward.
1, 2.
And I'll draw a card, and then triggers.
Yep.
Woo! I just assumed they were getting struck down.
Nope.
All right, so attack first 6, you're at 11.
Yep.
Your turn.
I'm going to mill 2.
All right.
First card, second card.
Sure.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to play out this Scalding turn. And we are going to go to 10.
All right, so
you're going to mill 6 total.
Yeah.
I'm going to get an island this time.
So hit another Phoenix. Nice. And 3 more random spells.
It's really awkward. Maybe I should have fetched those the other way. And this is exactly the reason why. Because I know I want to be getting basics, and the colored mana didn't matter, but I knew I wanted to do this. And now I'm kind of forced in a spot where I have to do this before his combat step next turn, which sucks a lot. Well, you mill 8.
All right. We hit the 4th Phoenix. Another loop. Okay.
All right, well, push.
Did you draw surgical?
Huh? No.
Okay.
Go.
So you just assume... okay. Mill 3. I don't understand. Draw for turn. I'm going to go to 18.
Yep. You got 3 spells?
I got Finale Promise.
All right. Yeah, so the thing there is I'm dead if you have 3 spells anyway.
Right. The really weird thing is I'm not sure I actually would have hit if I didn't. Or at least I would have had to dig through a lot. I would have hit, but I would have had to dig through a ton of cards to do it. But Finale Promise there, just acting as the 3. Just
Big.
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It gives you kind of extra... It's a lot like Snapcaster Mage, and it also gives you extra virtual copies of some of the one-ofs that you play in your main deck and sideboard. Like, I had Echoing Truth, for example, and if I was playing against Ensnaring Bridge, like, I basically get 2 turns of reprieve against Ensnaring Bridge if I needed to. Or if I accidentally Thought Scour over the Echoing Truth, I still have more ways to cast it.
Yeah, absolutely. It has, like, the Snapcaster effect almost.
Yeah. All right. Well, any questions while we're shuffling up for game 2? That was impressive.
Yeah, Komodo Drake wanted to know, Todd, was there any thought to Saheeli in your Phoenix deck?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked a little bit about Finale Promise with Saheeli. I don't know if it should see play in this particular version because much like Young Pyromancer, Saheeli doesn't really work well with Thing in the Ice. But I do think that there's potential for just like some sort of mid-range or control deck that plays Finale Promise as like a card advantage engine that also generates extra triggers for Young Pyromancer and Saheeli. Like, for example, the Bedlam Reveler Young Pyromancer deck, for example, could just play it as a means of getting back removal spells, hitting Faithful Suiting again if you need to, or casting discard effects like Inquisition of Kozilek, much like Dreadhorde Arcanist, for example.
Sure.
And none of them?
Yeah. Rocksteady 1500. What are your thoughts on Narset Parter of Veils? Is stopping people from drawing cards powerful enough to play in Modern?
Absolutely. I think that card is very good.
I think card's nice.
I am terrified to play against it. It's effectively something like Spirit of the Labyrinth or whatever that would be very good against like Izzet Phoenix, except it doesn't die to Lightning Bolt because it has like a high enough loyalty to survive the first time or whatever, right?
Yep. Like worst case scenario, it's 2 Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin activations for 3 mana.
Yeah, and that's
really good.
All right, so you're keeping yours, I assume?
Yep.
All right, well, I got lands and
slow,
spells.
but keepable.
So, me too.
Go.
I don't want to play a Faithless Looting here because we don't really have stuff to dig for, and I'll just play this and say go.
So we're going to do this because if we draw a Hedron Crab, we'd rather combo those together. So we'll just play that for now. Go.
Okay. Fetch Stevens tapped.
I have 4 archive. I'm just kidding.
You got me. I'm dead.
Sometimes people just want it,
Yeah, I mean, that's what, 52 cards, right?
Yep.
Seems reasonable. All right, we'll play a Thing in the Ice and hope it survives. Assume it won't, but,
It does.
Ooh. So I'm just hitting you on both fronts now. You got Surgical and no answer to Thing in the Ice. Huh.
It may appear that way.
Funny story. One time I was playing my LGS a couple of years ago, and a turn 0. My turn 1. They haven't played anything yet. I fetch, and the opponent asks, "Are you searching your library?" It's like, yes.
What?
Archive trap.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I had that happen in a classic once where I was playing that Kiki chord, and I fetch shock birds go, and they had 2 or 3 archive traps. So it wasn't the full 4, but it was enough to hit like exactly the rest of my fetchable lands. Because that deck's like, 12 fetches and like a handful of shocks to support god-awful 4-color mana. But I then proceeded to just not be able to cast spells and stare at them while their like non-functional hand just like eventually did it.
All right. I will start off things with a Manamorphose, and I'll make blue-red.
Yep.
We have a thing for this. Although I think we're lacking red mana for some reason. The red mana just disappeared.
That's weird.
Here's Jeremy Noel, our red mana counter.
Yeah. All right. With the blue, I'm going to use the red.
Okay.
So we got 1 blue. I'm going to cast Looting. I'm going to discard Spire Bluff and a Steam Vents. And then I'm going to cast Thought Scour with the blue. And then, guess that'd be a 1. And then Faithless Looting, transform this. And you have 6 cards, right?
I have 5.
5. Did you lose it?
No.
Did you just forget to draw? Oh, you were on the play.
I was on the
thinking
play.
You were on the draw. All right, looting. Draw 2. The thing that doesn't really do anything. Actually, no, it can push me if I draw the. Okay, so we'll pitch Flame Slash and a Scalding Tarn and say go, because Awoken Horror is on lockdown.
Draw. Can I see your graveyard?
Yep.
Thank you. Alright, so he has 12 cards in his graveyard. Ironically, I don't really want to do this yet because of that. So instead of that, we will play a Polluted Delta. And we are going to go ahead and use one of these to blow up your steam vents.
Okay. Sorry, these are tapped.
Go.
Cool thing about Field of Ruin is that it's not a May ability, so it actually works perfectly with Archive Trap, even if your opponent doesn't fetch something out themselves.
Hey, Emma.
Hi.
Try to move your mic down a little bit. You're breathing a little heavy into it.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
All right. I'll draw for the turn. You have how many?
I have 5.
All right. Just mostly because I suspect Surgical. I'm just going to cast an attack with Phoenix. I drew it for the turn. Otherwise, I probably would have just discarded last turn and got them all Surgical. But, All right. So you're going to go to 19. I guess push it.
Yeah. We're going to go on and just get that basic island. We're getting basics here because his deck sometimes has Blood Moon, and I don't know if it's in the main deck or not. There's not really a huge drawback to doing it this way.
Okay.
All right.
Phoenix dead.
Draw. Inquisition.
I have a Thing in the Ice, a Looting, and a Bolt.
Ooh. All right. We are going to take your Thing in the Ice.
Bring down.
Here you go.
Drop. Flashback Faithless Looting.
Yep.
Draw 2. Discard Spire Bluff and Scalding Tarn. And say go.
Okay. Alright, so you currently have 16 cards in graveyard. I just need to get off of this. I'm going to Visions of Beyond.
Okay.
I just need to. That dream is dead. Long live that dream. I am wasting too much time on that, I believe. Sheldock Isle?
Sure.
One.
This one, either player has 20, so it works if I have 20 left in my deck.
Correct.
Cool.
We're going to put that under it. And then I will surgical your phoenixes.
Phoenix. My other card is a Serum Visions.
Yeah. I'm going to pay the mana for that, actually.
Okay.
Okay. Then I will Ashiok.
Okay.
Roll Ashiok down to 4, and you will mill 4. And it is your go.
All right. Now, unfortunately for me, if Ashiok ever hits Echoing Truth, I'm dead. So that's cool.
I think it's pretty nice.
Pretty good. Staring Bridge is doing some work. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's start off with Manamorphose. Make blue-red.
Yep.
For Jeremy. All right, draw a card. We'll go second thing in the ice. Using these two. We'll play Serum Visions, tick down, draw a card. Top 2. Bottom. Actually, it was probably going to Ashiok next turn. I think. I can't imagine that you won't. I'll just leave them on top and I'll say go.
Yeah, it's just like super fun mind game where I'm just like, do I think the cards on top are good or bad?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, deck. May I?
Sure.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Well, that's actually really awkward. That's fine, though. All right, I know I want to play this. I know your answer is Echoing Truth, but playing that is pretty close to free. And I will target you.
Hit a bolt and a bolt.
Exile.
Yeah.
Here you go.
I think I might actually almost be locked out. I think that is all of my bolts. So basically at this point I need to go like Transform Woken Horror, Echoing Truth, the Ensnaring Bridges, and then find Finale of Promise to do the last 3 points, which means I can't actually use bolts on the Ashiok. I have to use on Emma because 3 of them are gone. Alright, so if I bolt Emma to 16, this goes to 2. Next turn, Faithless Looting goes to 1. Echoing Truth on Ensnaring Bridges. Yeah, I can't bolt. I just can't do it yet, I don't think. I just have to have bolt plus Finale in like the same turn, or else the Ashiok, I think, is just going to get me. I'm not positive, though. I don't know. I don't know what to do. This is really hard. All right, let's start off with the Serum Visions. Draw. Well, that actually might be pretty good. And again, well, the top 2 are not Echoing Truth or Finale Promise, so I think I just want to leave them on top and just cast this other thing in the ice and then try to 21 Emma in 1 turn. And now that I have the third thing in the ice, I'm just going to bolt the Ashiok. The top 2 cards are good too, I think. Yeah, I want to keep those. That's fine. Okay. And your turn. Inside your draw step. I'm going to... So I have surgical extraction, and I might have just need to do this during Emma's upkeep or my turn or whatever to take care of Fatal Push, because another Fatal Push is lethal. At this point, Ashiok is pretty nightmarish. Vision Beyond is quite good. Surgical doesn't do anything against me. I'm going to target Ashiok with a surgical extraction. I'm going to go to 16 triggers. Okay, that's good news for me, but the card under Shell Dock might be pretty good. There, you can just get them out. I know it's in your deck. And Shell Dock is turned on now, I believe. So.
Correct. You should have 20 cards in your deck.
Yeah.
Or 19 cards in your deck because of the Serum Visions.
I have 19. All right, what you got? Archive Trap?
Well, I'm going to play my land.
Yep.
Go. I'm actually going to hold this because it gives him more outs to hit the thing that he wants. Because he only has like one Finale of Promise, or he only has one Echoing Truth, but he has multiple Finale of Promise. Wait. Now, actually, that you have spent a mana, it is different, I believe. Because before, if you hit Finale... Oh, no, because you didn't actually have 2 targets. Oh, it's up 2, though.
Mm-hmm.
Serum Visions is fine. I hope it's not the top card. It's more than likely better that we screw up his scries.
So I'm going to bottom this. I just want to try to find the Echoing Truth.
Sure.
All right, cast this.
I'll respond to that. Glimpse.
3, 6,
Now that you have cards on the bottom, I guess
9,
it's technically
10?
more likely I hit it. 10. Yep.
And this is in response to Faithless Looting. So Echoing Truth is down.
Yep.
One Finale Promise down. So we'll draw 2. Discard 2. This is coming down to the wire.
I know. Just over here, ready to draw my 9th land.
So I guess I need 4 mana, so these 1 mana draw spells are actually just worse than the Manamorphose. So I'll say go.
Your thing transformed as well.
I believe this was... Okay, sure. It doesn't matter. I'm going to transform it, or it's going to die to Fatal Push. Yeah. Show me more lands to
Trigger.
fetch.
Target you.
All right, there's 3 down.
Fetch. Get my tapped watery grave.
Fine.
Fetch.
All right.
Get my island.
Look, I was locked out for basically the entire game. I am very surprised I had a shot to win. So,
Just out here doing your best.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break here while we prepare for sideboards. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with that. All right, we're back here for sideboarding, and from my side of things, we're going to be making some pretty drastic changes. Thoughtscour, it's a little scary. Sometimes I target myself, I mill over one of my outs, and then Emma surgical extractions all of them, and that's not so good. Sometimes I'm so scared to Thoughtscour myself that I Thoughtscour Emma, which also doesn't seem very good. So, I don't know. I'm going to cut it.
I didn't know your mama raised a chicken.
I mean, I ain't trying to play a card that's one blue, draw a card, deal 2 damage to yourself. Because that's basically what it is.
You were playing Street Wraith last round.
Yes. But that one costs 0 mana.
That's the problem here.
We're going to be leaving in our Lightning Bolts but cutting Flame Slash, and we're leaving in Bolt because alongside Pyromancer Ascension, it actually gives us an angle to deal lethal damage not using the attack step to get around an ensnaring bridge. So it kind of gives us that different angle to get around it. We're going to be cutting the 2 surgical extractions as well, mostly because it's mostly there for like the mirror match or graveyard-based decks. Now, it does have some utility here in that a surgical extraction can actually exile the the Arclight Phoenix or whatever card Emma actually targets with her surgical extraction, and that in turn protects the rest of them in your deck, but it doesn't get around extirpate, and you don't get the one card back, like you don't get the Arclight Phoenix back that turn. So if it's only one, you're basically just prolonging the inevitable, and that's not something I really want to play towards. So instead, we're going to be bringing in some Blood Moons to maybe punish her if she draws a bunch of non-basics. Also shuts down Shelldock Eye, which was huge in that game.
Yep.
Absolutely magnificent. And then we're going to bring in 2 Spell Pierce and a Dispel. These are just to kind of slow down her mill effects early on. And then we have a Chandra, which can allow us to get around a Snaring Bridge, but has the utility of digging for things that can get deal lethal damage, or basically just churning through the deck, while also being a minus ability to be able to kill Hedron Crab sometimes, which is not nothing.
Yeah.
And then 2 Abrade, which not only kills Crab but also kills Bridge.
And over on my side, I have more surgical extraction-esque effects coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We saw how important surgical was last game at just getting rid of all of your Arclight Phoenixes. And game 1, it would have completely changed the outcome if you hadn't had any Phoenixes.
Absolutely.
And Snaring Bridge, game 2, we saw how great that card was at just turning you off. And then Echoing Truth is one that I'm bringing in as a sort of answer to your Echoing Truth on my own bridges. Because if you go to... Hold on, it's not what you think. If you bounce my bridges and try to get in with Awoken Horrors, I can then just bounce your Awoken Horrors.
Yes.
And then recast my Ensnaring Bridge. And it didn't literally counter your Echoing Truth, but for what you needed the Echoing Truth to do, it kind of undid that. It's also a way for me to possibly, reset a Chandra that's about to ultimate, something to that effect. And it can even save my own bridges from Abrades.
The more I think about it, the more I just want, in case you have multiple bridges, I'm actually just going to bring in the Shatterstorm. And I'm actually just not gonna bring in the Chandra as much as
Really?
I mean, it might be okay. Maybe
just put in
okay.
3 bolts.
Maybe 3 bolts is probably fine.
Yeah.
3 bolts, and then we'll bring in the Shatterstorm as well.
I'm cutting removal because other than thing in the ice, all your stuff just comes back, and my plan is to exile it this way anyway.
Cool.
And I'm planning to bridge you, and then I'm cutting a couple of our cards that are just kind of weaker mill cards and don't really do a whole lot otherwise. It's kind of a drawback to mill you sometimes for having cards that only do that rather than actually prolonging the game.
Right.
You kind of want to draw a mix of that and disruption, and now that I know how to disrupt you, I think that having ways to be positive, I can just cut the threats out of your deck is more important.
Yeah, much like Infect regularly cut some pump spells after sideboard. Like game 1, you want to shove all in a lot of times with 4 mutagenic growth and a bunch of things like that. But after sideboard, usually trim down some of the pump spells in favor of more interaction or protection.
Exactly.
Pretty similar. Any questions for us, Mr. Rob?
Yes. Arid Frey 1212. Why the sleight of hands over ops?
So this version is using Finale of Promise, so we need to deviate a bit on our instant v sorcery count. And if we played Opt, we'd have a bit too many instants versus sorceries, I think. Obviously, the numbers can be tweaked at various points in time, but we need to play basically 4 of something, and I think having that at sorcery is more important because we have Pyromancer Ascension as well. So it's a guessing game until we kind of figure it out. Anything else?
Yeah, Zesty Zonder 82 wants to know, do you think Raoul's Outburst is good enough to be played in Modern?
I don't. 3 damage for 4 mana is not a hugely powerful effect. I think it's quite good in Team of Reclamation and Standard, but probably not good enough for Modern. If they reprinted Prophetic Bolt, I do not expect that would see play in Modern. I think that is closer on par and power level and what you would want. All right.
Think of it this way: Cryptic Command's barely good enough, and that card's kill a thing, draw a card.
Yeah, the card's great. You're right.
Hey, I assume you're on the play.
I'm on the play.
Okay.
I'll keep tentatively.
Yeah, my hand doesn't play, so
we have
we'll
a one-liner
that does.
Yeah, we have a one-liner with Faithless Looting and some goodies, and I'm hoping that we draw out of it. But sometimes you don't. You just lose. I mean, I could just be more experimental with the London Mulligan, but the London Mulligan doesn't actually benefit a deck like Izzet Phoenix very much because you need a raw high number of cards to do your thing. You need to be able to cast 3 instants. You need to have all those resources come together in the right way.
Okay, so this hand's fine. We're going to put this card on the bottom for our mulligan, and you may go.
Okay. I'm going to fetch Shock and play Faithless Looting. Unfortunately, there's a a flooded strand, but it's fine.
I have a response to Faithless Looting.
Okay. Got me.
Archive Trap you.
Yeah. Fine. All right. 13.
Yep. 9, 12. May I see those cards?
You may.
Thank you. All right, and for the most part, we are basically just worried about him turboing things out against us. We don't actually have very many good defenses against what he's doing. So, but what we do have is we can do this on this card soon. So what we are going to do for now is just go ahead and surgical extraction thing in the ice.
Unfortunately for me, you actually hit.
Yeah, and that was the reason we did it. In response is if you have a card in your hand, it is possible that you now have fewer things to discard.
Yeah.
Having that Phoenix in hand is really rough.
Yeah. That's the only reason I kept it. I'm hoping that you don't have a second surgical for me or an extra page or something coming up. All right. Well, we're down to 4 cards in hand and need to get a little lucky off the top. I'm going to actually just pitch Blood Moon, I think. So, your turn.
Yeah, card's worse when they know it's coming. You're good.
Yeah. Also, the land I drew was Spire Bluff Canal, so I think it might actually
yeah.
completely mess me up. All right, we're going to try to go for here. I'm going to Manamorphose into, I believe, blue.
Blue?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have a blue one already, and I have more blue cantrips than red ones. All right, Sleight of Hand.
Ooh, you ripped the blue one, so that's bad for me.
Well, we drew the wrong one, so your go. Actually, I'm going to take the land over this. I'm sorry. There's a land on bottom. I'm just going to switch the card that I took with Sleight of Hand. And then this goes on bottom. Okay,
sure.
Your turn.
I'm going to draw this card. And I'm going to do this while he's tapped out because I know he's bringing in counter spells. I'm going to Mission Briefing and then Surgical your Phoenixes.
Yep.
So I go to 16.
So my deck basically doesn't work anymore. We have Pyromancer Ascension and...
What's in your hand?
Chandra. Sleight of Hand, Finale, Promise of Braid.
That's why you discarded Blood Moon. I see.
No, I just actually drew the other one. But I'm about to cast this one, I guess.
Yeah.
Shut off your black for now. So that deals you 4. You're at 16 now, right?
Yep. And I milled Inquisition of Kozilek. I don't know. Yeah, I'll mill Ensnaring Bridge because I knew that I was just taking your Phoenixes and bridges don't matter anymore.
Yeah. All right, untap. Draw. We'll play Blood Moon. Your turn.
Yep.
You know these two. I'll play them face up for now.
Glimpse you.
And more. And she drew the swamp, which is unfortunate.
I maybe should have left Inquisition of Kozilek. I knew it was castable, but I don't know. I think at this point I'm really just trying to turbo it out and get him dead.
All right, blue-red. Oh, that's actually perfect. Because of Blood Moon, Spire Bluff Canal no longer comes into play tap, so we'll just take a Chandra and deal you 2.
14.
Your turn. We're pretty low on cards, so the Chandra might not actually
Mountain
do it.
and Glimpse you. I'm actually going to hold my mountain in case I draw a Hedron Crab.
I only have 5 cards left in my deck. I don't think I can actually win. Oh, crap, sorry. You're 12. Your turn.
Go.
Draw. Have you at
10.
10?
Yep.
Your go.
End of turn, Echoing Truth Chandra.
Really? Really? Really?
Yeah, really.
See, because I was gonna target these. You were gonna die. Okay, you win.
Got him.
Okay. So many mills. All right. Well, Mill defeats Phoenix, which I actually expected.
Yeah, it's probably a really good matchup.
I lose. I mean, the game would have been a lot different if I had just chosen blue-red off of the Manamorphose, but I'm casting Sleight of Hand, and left in my deck I still have Serum Visions,
More sleight of hand.
3 more sleight of hand, 4 serum vision. I cut the thought scours. Maybe that actually changes things.
I don't think. I mean, I guess it's just bolts versus lootings, but you'd already cast a looting that game as well.
Oh, I'd already cast a looting, so it's bolt looting versus serum sleight of hand, right? And so that's just it's 50-50-ish, or pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's close. I think it's technically in favor of the blue spells.
I think so too.
I think it's like
by
7,
1 because I already had a bolt in my hand.
6 or something like
Yeah.
that. Oh, if you already had the bolt, maybe you're just supposed to get red. So
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't have bolt. I would have just bolted your face.
Yeah.
I drew the bolt later, I think. Anyway, so close games.
Gonna push Phoenix out of the format. Write it down.
No, the first time I ever played Izzet Phoenix, Ross was just going on and on about his deck. He like won the open, and he's like, or no, sorry, it was right before he won the open. And I started playing his deck, and the first match I played against was Mill, and my opponent on turn 1, Archive trapped me when I fetched, and then surgical extraction all my Arclight Phoenixes.
I've heard this song before.
And I dropped from the league. And I told Ross his deck was unplayable. So count me wrong. But Mill's just a bad matchup, I guess. But this particular version, Emma was able to strip me of my Arclight Phoenixes and my things in the ice on turn 2.
Yep.
All of them were gone. So it was going to be really difficult for me to win there. And drawing the swamp and then drawing the Echoing Truth both just blew me out of the water. And I was actually going to win with no cards left in my deck because Chandra Ultimate, and then I was going to go Finale of Promise, targeting 2 things, and that would have let me cast 3 spells and deal you 15, which would have been really cool.
I would have been furious.
Yeah, I would have been very happy if that happened. Anyway, any questions before we move on?
Yeah, Laukis wants to know why mission briefing instead of Snapcaster Mage.
Because mission briefing is something that actually helps you dig for things, which ends up being relevant. The card selection is more important than the body is.
Yeah. No, I have downplayed the strength of what's it called mission briefing a lot over the last 8 months or however long it's been legal, 7 months, and I always said, just play Snapcaster Mage, right? But in this particular instance, when you're playing a Snaring Bridge, when all you want to do is just dig for very specific things, Surveil is actually a little bit better in Emma's deck than the body of Snapcaster Mage. So it's
like a lot of times people just have a lot of removal that doesn't do anything against you.
Right, and it turns on.
Exactly. So they cast a push against your Snapcaster, and you just kind of go, well, that wasn't going to have a text box, but yeah, okay. So the Surveil is better than the 2-1 in this type of deck.
Yeah.
Also, apparently it lets you cast Archive Trap for 0 as well.
Oh, yeah, that's another big deal.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because it's not actual flashbacks that you can cast it. I knew it if we were off camera, but now I'm all nervous and jittery,
All right, anything else for us?
I don't have anything right now.
Alrighty, well, we'll talk about the individual new cards for just a second, because you played Ashiok in game 2 after getting the Snaring Bridge down, and the graveyard exiling made it so that Finale Promise might not necessarily have done much for me.
No, and
that's a pretty big deal. Potentially knocked off Phoenixes if you didn't have surgical extractions, and knocked off Faithless Lootings after preventing me from using the flashback. On top of that, if I had ever drawn Fetch Land, wouldn't have been able to do anything. But more important than anything, it just milled me for 8 cards for 3 mana. And you just need an abundance of those types of effects over time, and eventually you'll just mill me out because I'm already just casting a bunch of cantrips over and over again.
Yeah, you drew a thing in the ice with such you bolt the Ashiok, but if you had not done that, Ashiok would have been worth 12 more cards. That would have been colossal.
Yes. As far as Finale of Promise, we didn't actually get to cast it. I showed it to Emma in game 1 because it effectively acted as 3 spells to bring back 3 Arclight Phoenix, but that's kind of the draw of the card. You're going to see cards like Snapcaster Mage and Crackling Drake and Finale of Promise. They're going to be really bad in this kind of a matchup where it's not about grinding resources. It's about finding the very specific things to interact in the right way. But when you play against Golgari midrange, or you play against Jund or one of our fair deck, like a Jeskai control deck or whatever. If you're playing against a deck that's going to be killing your creatures, having something like Finale of Promise can be backbreaking. Turning on your things in the ice immediately, bring back the Phoenixes for just one card. Sometimes when you're down on resources, like that burst of card advantage is huge. You get to sometimes go Thought Scour, Faithless Looting, which with the third spell lets you dig 4 cards deeper and also maybe find more Phoenixes, but also just leaves you with some cards in hand after doing such a really big thing. Against control decks, sometimes you get, against creature-based decks, sometimes you get to go Bolt Flame Slash for 3 mana.
Yeah.
And that is gigantic.
Yeah, and there's even a point where even if it didn't seem that impactful in a couple of the games we played, think back to game 2, we were both going, well, if he draws Finale of Promise, I literally lose the game.
Yeah.
If he draws Finale, I lose the game. And I wasn't able to cast like Glimpse the Unthinkable because
if you hit Echoing Truth, you lost.
If he has 1 Echoing Truth, but 2 or 3 Finales, and I'm like 50% to hit this Echoing Truth with Glimpse, that actually increases his odds of drawing something that kills me. So I don't actually think I'm supposed to cast it yet. This is weird. I don't know. But the card was great. Like, it was something that was a big role player that game and something you were drawing to almost the entire match.
Yeah, and even in game 3, like, it combined with the Chandra Ultimate with me on 0 cards could have potentially killed you with Chandra's ability. So a lot of cool things. We didn't get to see the full scope of it, but you're going to see that a lot more often in a fair matchup where you're playing against either opposing creatures or opposing removal spells. And in this particular matchup, we had some removal spells, but that's not really what this matchup is about. But still played a pretty significant role in the games, which I think is pretty impressive. So Finale of Promise, I want to see more of it. I think the card's really strong. I want to see exactly what it can do. X equals 2. You get to cast Manamorphose. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus a sorcery. So it does some really interesting stuff, and I'm very curious to see how far I can take it with various shells in Modern. We got one more match coming up for you after this.
It's the main event.
It is the main event. It is for the marbles. And it is Emma playing the deck she posted yesterday on Twitter, and if you missed it, you are missing out. Bolus's Citadel.
This deck is wild. We'll talk about it more here in a minute, but it has Mox Opal, Trash for Treasure, Reshape, Lotus Bloom.
For treasure. Trash for treasure. The end.
You aren't gonna. This is a brew. I had never brew, and I put on my brewer's cap and came up with something spicy, and I'm really excited. I'm glad we got something on the line.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I'm playing, but it doesn't matter. it's not that. All right. Well, we're gonna take a short break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the final match of Versus Live for the day.